Today we're speedrunning Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, and this speedrun is actually really cool. Now our speedrun starts with Poppy complaining and telling us that we need to go ahead without her while she goes back for Kissy Missy. So we're gonna do just that. We're not gonna listen to her at all and jump all the way down here, then line ourselves up perfectly so we can grab this battery. All we gotta do is make a single jump, and yeah, Poppy's still gonna be talking, thinking we're there with her. We're not at all, and that saves us a good amount of time. Now from here, we pretty much just have to go through this cave system. We'll see some smiling critters on the ground, things like that, but we're not too worried about them just yet. I will move this box out of the way, and then we'll use our first trick, where if we crouch into one of those sections while moving to the side, we can actually stand up instead of crouching the whole time, allowing us to sprint and go a lot faster. We're going to be using that a lot in vents, so you'll see it pretty often. Then we can also go through this gap. We'll just squeeze through. There's no way to speed that up, and then we can take out our gun hand to get rid of that rope and go into this graveyard room where there's just all of these smiling critters all around, and yeah, I do not want to be here for too long, but we do got to make our way through. We're just going to do some general walking. Until then, we can also jump on top of all of these guys. There also will be this alert where a bunch of these critters are going to start coming towards us, so what we're going to do is come over to this panel and start jumping, and we're just hoping that we get the perfect jump to get boosted up by the critters, and yeah, we can just go through there way faster than you're supposed to be able to. That saves us a good amount of time, and we can just continue on our way instead of doing one of the sections where you just have to survive for a while. So now we're in this train area where Ollie's gonna call us. We're not gonna listen to him for too long. I'm just gonna jump on this. We can grab this key. After that, we want to go into this building. Meanwhile, Ollie is just saying something. I don't even know. Also, that door is very weird. I don't know why that closed there, but that doesn't really matter. We can now go ahead and take this electricity to go around those two poles, connect it to that, and now the train should be good to go. All we have to do from here is then open that up and chill here for a while until Ollie's done talking. Eventually then the doctor will show up on the TV and basically says that he can't wait to start playing with us, and then he decides to crash the train. I feel like this happens way too often, which then a bit later we're gonna wake up and continue on our way where we're gonna try to escape this prison. So first of all, I can start bringing myself up there. You saw a dead body. I don't even want to know what that was, but we're gonna try to do the trick on this vent. This one's kind of annoying, and yeah, it didn't feel like working this time, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Instead, we'll just go over here and we can use our blue hand to hit that button. Then we want to head back over through here, also take out our gun hand because there are going to be all the smiling critters around that we have to deal with, and we can use our gun hand to get rid of them. We can open these doors, see a couple of those guys, use one of our flares, move them out of the way, then use our blue hand to hit that thing while we then switch our hand over to our purple one so we can start getting rid of these boards. Now we only have to get rid of the top one and the one to the right before we can crouch down there and go through this door that we just opened up before we have another one of our tricks. Now what I like doing here is closing this door, and we're going to wait for it to completely close before we then open it with our hand. And what we're doing is causing this door to not be able to close automatically while we have our hand on the red hand. This allows us to skip another one of those survive sections, and that survive section takes like over a minute, so it's a really good time save, and yeah, I really enjoy it. After that, all we have to do is come up here and we have to hit one of these codes. This one, I actually messed up. Okay, not the biggest deal. It's 3255. Then we can hit that button and we're good to go. Eventually, that door is then going to open up and we can escape this first section of the prison, leading us over to this room where we have to get rid of all these bars. Just got to move a few of those before we can head through. We can use our hand on that. And Ollie's going to try to call us again, but there's going to be a ton of static. Like usual, I do not care what Ollie has to say at all, and we have to wait at this door, but eventually we can start opening up this really glitchy door. It's kind of a weird one, and see all these dead bodies just chilling on the floor. I'm not going to worry about it too much, and we're going to skip a section where we have to crawl through them, and instead we can just jump up there and grab a key card. Now after that, we're going to be heading back to this main console. We can put the key card in there and use our hand to use that again. That's going to open up another one of these doors, and we'll just be heading through until we're now in another section of the prison. So from here, what I'm going to do is just use our trick to go through that a little bit faster. Then we can try to grab these bars and just pull them. Meanwhile, the doctor is saying don't fight it because he's going to use all this red gas and try to knock us out. So we do have to be kind of fast in this section, and thankfully I know exactly where to go. Now I also want to back up and crouch through that because the crouch is faster than a different animation that section makes you do, so we can save a little time just by doing that. On the way back, we're going to do the exact same thing, and you'll see we also have this valve, so we can take that over with us, use our hand, and then start moving it so we can get rid of all the red gas, and also use our red hand to scan that and allow us to go through this door. And we did that incredibly fast. We don't have to worry about passing out at all, so we can go through that door, and we have another one of these codes. Of course, we remember what it is. It's going to be 3642, and then we can hit the red button like usual. Now we just have to wait out this window for a little bit of time because there's going to be a huge gas buildup in this room that's going to break that window, and we can go through using our purple hand to jump up to these things. Eventually we'll make it over to one of these vents where we want to use this trick, and you can see we're just going by so much faster than we would if we had to crouch through this entire thing. So it's always a good trick to use. And now we want to switch to our blue and red hands, and we can actually hit their buttons through the walls, which is hilarious. Gotta love Poppy Playtime and your ability to do things like that. So anyways, we're now in this section where we just have to wait for a second. Then eventually this door is going to open up, and we're going to want to come over here where we just have to chill for a bit. The doctor's just going to talk to us for a very long time. I don't really care what he has to say. And eventually he also opens up this door and shows us the adorable Yarnaby. Gotta love this guy. And after looking at him for just a little bit, we can then open up this thing, use this battery on this blue one, so then we can go through this door. Now we just have to head through this section. We can see Yarnaby moving his way through before we also see Doey's hand come over there, and he's going to unlock this door for us. And yeah, Doey is basically the guy who's going to be helping us throughout this chapter, or at least certain parts. Then what we want to do is come into this room. We're going to use a couple flares to get that stuff that's flammable to get destroyed, and then Yarnaby's going to come and he's going to see the flammable stuff. So we just have to wait, make sure that he does not hear us. Doey's going to say psst, so Yarnaby's going to get attracted to that, and then we can go up this vent where we want to try to use this trick again. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but it's not the biggest deal, especially because this is not a long vent. We can use it there and start moving forward. Now, we have to be very fast here to not get attacked by Yarnaby. Otherwise, we would have had to wait a second. So that was a nice time save. And then we can come back through here, see Yarnaby. He's just going to go running through, and we're not really worrying too much about him. We'll try to do this trick again, get a nice little time save with that, and come through here where we see a lot of Doey's body just all around. Doesn't really matter for us, though, because then Yarnaby's going to come over and start basically threatening us. Now, I don't know why we're not just running away. That seems like the very clear thing you would want to do, but we wait until Yarnaby gets very close to us before we do it. We're going to go into this vent. Again, I didn't get the trick, which is kind of unlucky, but it's just the general vent section until we make it over here, and now we're away from Yarnaby. So we're at the point where we finally get to see Pianosaurus, but unfortunately, we're not really going to see him. Instead, we're going to aim our hand very precisely about right there, so we can pull ourselves over there. And yeah, we get rid of Pianosaurus's screen time. He goes from like 15 seconds of screen time to 0, so unlucky for him. But hey, I'll put him up on the screen. Isn't he adorable? Anyways, we're just gonna walk through here while Doey's trying to talk to us. Not really sure what he's yapping about, but I don't really care. And then we'll make it over here where he shows us his hat and then goes through this thing. He is one weird guy, that's all I can say. But hey, I do love Doey. What a great character. And I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen with him at all. Anyways, he's gonna create some platforms for us so we can just move through this section, which is very nice of him. And this is pretty much just a running section. We just have to take the intended path. Eventually, we'll make it over here where this is our next puzzle section. We have to take a couple of these things and hold them to this door. That way we can actually open it because it is very reinforced. Now, I'm not sure why Doey can't just break it because he did completely destroy Pianosaurus. So you would think he's strong enough, but I guess we got to do the work. Now, there's going to be another one of these codes. This time it is going to be 3021, and that's going to give us one of these wrenches. Before then coming back down here, we can put the wrench in there, or I guess it's a lever, not a wrench. But hey, when have I ever said names right? Anyways, we're going to put those on that other door. Doey's going to throw us down this lever. We can put that on that last one, and we just want to start pulling these things down. We just have to pull down all 5. That way we get them all pulling on this door, opening it up enough for us to make it through. Also, Doey's just chilling there, watching us. Yeah, definitely not an evil guy at all. That's all you got to worry about. And we have to catch up with Doey. That's our new objective. Pretty easy stuff. There is also this section where we got to get rid of these boards. And you already know it's another one of these where I'm trying to get this crouch. Please, game. Okay, there we go. Saves a little bit of time, just like usual. Then we want to do another crouch. We see Doey just waving to us. What an adorable guy. And we also want to do the backup crouch thing in this section too to make us go a bit faster. Then we'll just wait here until Doey finally gives us this battery. Hurry up, Doey. I'm not going to lie. And game, please. How did my hand just go through that? Before we have to find a couple of wheels. Now we know exactly where those are going to be. The first one is going to be there. It's a very small one. Then we'll also find another small one, which this game does not want to grab things for me right now. But we can bring that over to the main generator where suddenly things are going to get extremely bright. I'm not really sure why that happens, but whatever. And now we've opened up that door. Doughy tells us it's a straight shot from here, so I'm gonna trust him. And we just have to walk through this thing. We have to set up another section where we have to pull this thing up. So we're gonna place that hook there. We're gonna head over here and get this lever. There is gonna be a smiling critter. I'm not really worried about him. And we'll pull that thing up before a little bit of a jump scare, kind of, where Kissy Missy is gonna pull us through, and we see Kissy and Poppy. We'll also get a tiny look at the prototype just hunting for us, so that's kind of interesting. And our goal is gonna be trying to make it over to their safe haven. Unfortunately though, Kissy Missy is not the fastest with all of her injuries, so while we're waiting for her, might as well take out some of these guys. I don't know, they're just kind of looking at me funny. And then Kissy and Poppy will slowly move forward. We'll get in this area, and now we're in safe haven, so pretty cool. Now during this section, Poppy basically says, hey, we need to blow up this place. And we also get to talk to Doughy, where he tells us that we need to get something called the Omni Hand so we can fix his generator. Anyways, it's just a bunch of talking, and finally after that, we then have our next objective, which is to find and defeat the doctor. So we're going to be walking through, getting into this section, which this is the weirdest section. Why does it become so green here? Anyways, it's not the biggest deal in the world. And yeah, we're just walking through a path that we will be back through multiple times. Poppy and Doughy are having a conversation. Basically, Doughy isn't sure if the best idea is to blow up this place, but Poppy's like, hey, it's the only way to defeat the prototype. Doughy does agree we should get the Omni Hand, which Poppy also wants, but he's just not sure if he fully agrees with Poppy's plan. Sure, that won't come in important later. Then we can be heading through this thing where, of course, Ollie's gonna try to call us again. I do not know why he spams my number so much, especially because he's always full of static. But what we want to do here to speed this up is hit our hand and be able to hit that pole, so we move over to the left. It's kind of hard to get this to work sometimes, but there we go. That is the power we needed. That basically skips a puzzle, and even the room wasn't able to render in fast enough, which is kind of funny. So we can continue walking on our way using this thing to swing until we see this area where we have to use our two hands and then kind of just leave. And that's because Yarnaby's going to be in that door and just threatening us, and we already know Yarnaby's going to be there, so why wait for him? Instead, we'll just come to the door that we have to get to later. Eventually, that's going to open up for us, and we can slide down this area, meanwhile hearing Yarnaby all over the place. And now we're in no man's land, where what we want to do is pull that switch first, so that gets energy. Then we can press the button, use our hand to go over there, put that key card in, press the button again, which opens up this area, and go through here with the rocks. And now it is time for one of the hardest tricks in this game, where what we want to do is use our hand through this bar to hit that blue button. Now this is incredibly precise, and what I like to try to do is try to aim towards the bottom of the button, but it just has to be perfect timing and perfect everything. You see, that honestly should have worked there, but I think I was a tiny bit too low. So we just need to keep our focus up, try to aim towards the bottom, and there we go, we got the hit. Then we can also use our other hand on the red button, and what that's going to do is open up the door before those buttons. So now we can just go through this without having to do the Yarnaby chase sequence at all. It's honestly a really cool trick and saves us so much time. So then we can use our hands on those buttons. But after a while, of course, Yarnaby is right behind us, so that's kind of terrifying. And now it's going to start our last chase sequence, where our only objective is to run. Unfortunately for Yarnaby, he's kind of slow, so there's no chance he's going to catch us. And we're just going to be running through this entire section until then we can swing across this thing and use our blue hand to start opening up this door. Yarnaby's then going to start getting hit by that and going on fire. Meanwhile, someone in my Twitch chat said that I should pet him, so of course we will pet him a couple of times. See you later, Yarnaby. I'm sure he's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. But after a while, this door is going to open up and we can go through this thing, which I guess is like an elevator or something. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's going to put us in a new area and we're good to go. That's first boss done out of the 3 we need to defeat. But now it's time to see our boy Doughy, which Doughy is going to get attacked by this ice stuff. Very unlucky for him, but then we can turn this valve to stop that ice and cause Doughy to go back to his normal form. That looks like it hurts a lot. I'm sorry, Doughy. I feel bad for you, but I got to continue on my way. You really have to feel bad for Doughy about this game. I mean, he's just trying his best. There's so much stuff going on. Anyways, what we're going to do is bring over this cube, and we can also bring this big cube. That way we can make it up there a little bit faster. We'll see some more of this ice area. Thankfully, all we have to do is go to the left. It's not a problem at all. Then we want to move across this section, do a super jump with our purple hand, just dodge all of the ice stuff until we can grab that key card that's going to be in there, use our hand to move away the ice stuff, and open this door. After that, we can just continue walking through pretty much just a straight path until we make it to this section, and we want to use our blue hand on that, but then it's actually going to get frozen. So what we have to do is rescue our hand. We'll take this battery over here so we can get this saw. Then we want to pull this saw over. That way we can get another blue hand, and we want to bring bring this over to the left, there's going to be this place where we can just use that to scan for us. And then we can pull that as well. This is going to be this plug, which all we have to do is place that in there. And that's going to open up a door for us for some reason. Meanwhile, the doctor's just talking to us this entire time. He should know I'm not listening at all. I'm literally talking over him. Like, I do not care. But we're going to see this very interesting room. But we have another code. This one is going to be 35198. And that's going to open up this door, so another puzzle we skip. All you got to do is know the code before it even lets you know it, and then we can plug in that as well, and just kind of wait here for a second until this door opens, and I'll give you another jump scare warning when this guy comes up and tries to attack us. Yeah, not sure what that jump scare was about. I wasn't even doing anything to you, man. But now we want to move this cube over. We can use that to jump up here. We can run and use our purple hand on a couple of these before grabbing this, doing a swing, and making our way to this section. And we are almost on to the doctor boss fight. There's only a bit more to go, but what we do here is use our hand, and now our purple hand is unable to be used and unable to be switched. So we only have our left blue hand, but that's not too much of a problem because what we did right there is just completely skip this area. Normally you would have to do this kind of boss fight, but more like a mini boss where we would have to escape an enemy while trying to put in a bunch of different plugs, but we were just able to skip that by going through the stuff. I gotta love how broken Poppy Playtime is. And after that, we can then use our blue hand to go through this door and make our way to this huge section where there's a ton of fog, and yeah, our screen is bright. And time for a very long elevator ride. And after that elevator ride, we can then confront the doctor, but as soon as we make it in here, a robot grabs us, pushes us down, and then we collapse into here. Now we're in this very dark area where normally this would be the boss fight area, but we can do a very cool trick to pretty much skip the entire thing. What we want to do is jump through here. Now we're on top of this thing. Then we want to press E to reset our jumping ability. We can jump up to this place, grab that battery, then we want to position it very specifically, go right there. Now we can jump on top of this stuff, which you are not supposed to be able to be on top of. And we can just keep making our way through these robots. And yeah, we just skipped the entire basement section. It's actually hilarious. So yeah, that's the entire boss fight you have to do. We can then kill the doctor. Easiest job of my life. And the doctor is going to be screaming. He's going to be sending out his robots to try to attack us, but they have no chance in doing anything. And yeah, let's give this guy some high fives. Now, after the doctor finally dies, we can actually go through this area where we're going to want to put in this key card, and we can create the Omni hand. We're going to put our red hand in that place, and then it's going to do some stuff and eventually give us a hand on the other side, which this is the Omni hand, and we can use it to go through a lot of different areas. Also, it looks exactly like Iron Man's hand. Yeah, not sure if that's what they were going for, but it definitely is what happened. So it's time to make our way back to our allies. And also quick shout out to Lilaman LA. I use their speedruns to learn how to do this speedrun, and also just shout out to the Poppy Playtime speedrunning community at whole. The stuff they are doing for this game is insane. I'm doing the inbounds category, but the out of bounds category, it realistically might get below 30 minutes soon. I really recommend checking it out. But anyways, after a while of walking through, we make it back to Safe Haven, where we're going to want to do this trick to go through these vents a bit faster, just doing our crouches, and finally, we'll see Poppy. Now, Poppy talks for a very long time, but eventually, then we get to see both Doey and Poppy. Doey's like, hey, we should not blow up this place. Poppy's like, hey, we definitely should. And then Ollie calls and tells us that the prototype is outside, so Doey has to go and deal with the prototype while we have to repair this generator. Now, this is absolutely the easiest puzzle in the entire game. Like, I'm not sure why they tried to make it out to be something hard. All we have to do is follow a couple directions, put things in the right slots, scan our hand a couple of times, and yeah, that's the entire generator repaired. So Poppy is proud of us while Doey is gone. So while Doey is gone, Poppy's like, hey, you might as well go plant some explosives. Let's blow up the entire place, and we're gonna go do just that. Not sure why we don't talk to Doey once more and actually have that conversation. I feel like that was very important, but hey, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Where we'll eventually make our way back over to this room, and for some reason, a bunch of these gears are out of place. Not sure who did that, but I'm also not too worried because it's very easy to fix. All we have to do is grab a couple of these and just put them in the correct spots to be able to open this door up. Now, once in this room, we'll actually take the right path over towards this section, and we will have one of the funniest skips in this entire speedrun. I love this skip because what we're going to do is grab our first explosive, and you're supposed to gather 4 explosives and plant them all. Also, I have to make this jump if the game actually wants me to. There we go. And then we'll grab this key card, but we're not going to grab any of the explosives other than the first one, because what we can do is put this key card in this door, and then there's going to be a gear in this locker. So what I want to do is find the correct spot that we have to touch this locker. My guy just really loves this locker very much, just loves touching it. But finally, we got the spot to get that gear, and we can skip the entire planting the explosives time, which is hilarious. So after that, we're going to escape the foundation without doing our job at all. Poppy's probably not going to be too pleased with us, but I just didn't want to plant them. What can I say? And we'll head over here where while we're waiting, there's going to be a bunch of these nightmare critters just coming towards us, but we can use our flare gun to get rid of them. Not really any danger at all, if I'm going to be completely honest, but then they pop up, and gotta love those guys. And after that, everything is much brighter for some reason. Before it goes dark again, I really don't know what's going on with the lights in this game, but after a bit, Doey is going to grab us and be like, hey, we can't find the prototype. And while he's talking to us, we see a bunch of explosions that are happening at Safe Haven, so that's kind of unlucky. Honestly, might be my fault for never planting any of those explosives. Yeah, probably should have actually did that, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. I'm sure everybody in Safe Haven is fine, so we're just going to be walking back. But this time, the walk back is a little bit creepier. It gets dark there for some reason, and then we also see this guy who tries to attack us. We've never seen anyone like that in that hallway before, but we got this very gross tunnel. We're just going to be walking through there before everything is dark, and there's a lot of dead bodies. Before finally, we see Doey, and he's saying, I'm sorry I failed you. But after a while, Doey's gonna get mad at us and Poppy for basically destroying his safe haven. And before long, he's going to transform into this thing. So that's absolutely terrifying. Look, Doey, it's gonna be okay. Okay, it's probably not gonna be okay. So yeah, the first part of this last boss fight of the chapter is just gonna be to run away. We can go over here. Doey's gonna follow after us. Not sure why this elevator took so long to go through, but we can hit a couple of flares on his fingers. Not sure if this actually does anything, but I do it anyways. And we just have to keep running away from Doey because he is very much gonna be trying to catch us. Now we wanna grab onto this thing. It's very easy to fall into the void in this section if you're not careful, by the way. It's kind of funny. But we'll just keep running through. We'll see some of these critters. They're going to keep dying. Doey literally does not care at all anymore. But we want to continue going on our way. Doey is still completely chasing after us. It's kind of terrifying. We have to go through this tunnel. Unfortunately, we are not hurrying up at all. I feel like we should go just a tiny bit faster. So Doey is able to grab onto our leg. But thankfully, a rock conveniently goes down, and we made it away from him. Guess we can now just slide down this area and use our Omni hand on that button before then pulling down that lever. That's gonna open up this door for us, and I mean, this is a pretty nice spot. Not sure why we're just looking around. But then, of course, Doey is not dead yet because he's gonna start chasing after us, and we have the true boss fight, which this is actually a really fun boss fight. Probably one of my favorites in the Poppy Playtime series. So what we have to do is use those ice crystals to get them to go into Doey's body. Then we can shoot them and use these saws to saw Doey's body and get him some damage. So yeah, it is actually a very cool boss fight. We'll set this second one up right here, just moving down that ice container, and then Doey's gonna jump to the middle. Doey will then start using an attack where he just tries spitting up into the air. Not really sure what that's about, but eventually then he'll start jumping over towards the middle, and we already have this set up with the ice container, so it's gonna go into Doey's body. We can shoot that, and then use our second saw, so we're doing a pretty good job. Now here's where luck comes into play. Sometimes Doey will jump back into the middle, and sometimes he'll keep chasing after us. So we're hoping that he keeps chasing after us. We just have to keep watching him, and we got the good luck, so that's gonna save us a good amount of time. After that, we can then run through here. There's going to be the ice thing in his body, and that's going to be perfect. All we have to do is pull down that saw, and that's the boss fight done. Or at least we think it is. Because at this point, now we have to walk back all the way to the top of the area. And then as soon as we make it into this room, we're going to use our hands. A little bit of a jump scare warning where Doey comes over at us and is very angry at us. But thankfully for us, he destroys that thing. Then we can take out our gun hand, shoot that, and then that's going to use all of this ice ability, get him down on the ground, and all we have to do is pull this down. I kind of messed it up for a second right there. But yeah, Doey is in a lot of pain. You really do feel bad for Doey. And yeah, sorry about this, Doey. And we're going to continue moving forward without a second thought. We'll use our hands on this thing before Doey meanly interrupted us like we were trying to in the past. And then we can go ahead and use our blue hand to open up this. And all it's trying to tell us to do is search for survivors. So all that's left at this point is to go through here, move over a couple of these boxes, and go down this thing, which is kind of just a slide. It's kind of fun when you really think about it. And we will see that Poppy and Kissy Missy are conveniently over here. Now Poppy's gonna blame us for not planting the explosives, and honestly fair, I did not at all. We're gonna learn the entire time that Ollie was the prototype, and then Poppy's gonna run away because the prototype tells her that he's gonna put her back in a box. So sadly, she does leave us and Kissy Missy, and then some explosives are gonna happen beneath us, so Kissy Missy is gonna try to save us, but unfortunately her arm is gonna fall off and we're gonna fall with it. So see you later. Which means that all that is left is for us to get very injured. I am not sure how we survive these falls, and we're just gonna keep moving forward. Eventually we'll see this area that has a bunch of these poppy flowers, and then we'll use our red hand to open up this door before getting into this office, grabbing this VHS and putting it in there, which that's where we're gonna call time 55:11. Also, the chapter is gonna end with Huggy Wuggy coming back and us fainting. So yeah, that's where we're gonna come next chapter. Now the speedrun leaderboards aren't posted just yet, so I don't know my official time, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.